We're going to move on to the second test that we do, which is the HEPA filter integrity test for the laminar flow and the exhaust HEPA filter. Curtis, run us through it.
So we're testing the laminar flow and exhaust HEPA filter. The way that we test this according to Australian standard is creating an aerosol smoke that's released into the cabinet, challenges the air on side of the two filters, and then we scan how much of that aerosol is coming through. The pass-fail criteria is 0.01% of that aerosol concentration. And to work out what that is, as far as the pass-fail criteria goes, as far as our photometer is going to read, we've got to calibrate each of our photometers to what the 100% reading is. So as you can see here, we've got the aerosol generator about to release aerosol into the cabinet. Then we've also got an upstream sampling point where we're going to take and measure what that 100% is, so that our photometer can be calibrated to know what 0.01% is of that amount.
So Curtis, can you just explain what you do before we put the aerosol generator on?
You won't be able to hear us once we put the aerosol generator on. If you've had a technician do a cabinet test before, you'd know this. What we're going to do is we're going to generate an aerosol into the cabinet, and then we're going to test how much of that aerosol penetrates through the laminar flow and exhaust HEPA filters. So we're trying to, once we activate the aerosol generator, we want to determine what the amount of aerosol is that's challenging the HEPA filters. The reason why is because the criteria for a pass-fail of a HEPA filter is 0.01% of that 100%. We've got to measure that to confirm that it's also meeting the requirements of the test method, which is it's got to be between 1 and 100 milligrams per cubic meter of aerosol. The aerosol generator hose is set up to release aerosol into the cabinet, and we've got our photometer connected to an upstream sampling point to measure that. That upstream sampling point is from one of the plenums, in this case the laminar flow HEPA filter plenum. Once I turn the aerosol generator on, I will calibrate the photometer to record what the absolute concentration is, milligrams in cubic meter, again within the required range, and then I'll calibrate it to the photometer to recognize that as the 100% challenge concentration. And then I'll change the range setting of the photometer down to accurately read what 0.01% of that aerosol is to test the HEPA filter.
And during this test, you've got the screens off both HEPA filters?
Yeah, all screens must be removed from the HEPA filter. The test method requires us to measure within 25 mil of the filter face, approximately 25 mil of the filter face. So any screens have to be removed as well.
And what about, so in the scanning process, Curtis, is there a speed and you're covering the whole filter and all of the seals? Like, what's the actual process?
Yeah. The other thing I neglected to mention was the test method requires, in ideal circumstances, to get the airflow across the filter between 0.3 and 0.6 meters per second. However, it's got provision if you can't achieve that to just make note of those positions. And then whatever the highest reading is on those filter, based on the velocity test we just did before, you must record the position of that velocity reading as well. When you're doing the scan, you are scanning with the pleats of the HEPA filter.
So is it time to make some noise?
Yes, yeah, we'll make some noise and you won't be able to hear us anymore. Aerosol has been released. Photometer is sampling. I've taken my absolute concentration. I've got to record that in the report as well. Once I've done that, I'll calibrate it to the 100% reading. Once the photometer is accurately pointing to 100%, I can change the range setting down to 0.1 and I can start scanning the HEPA filter.
So you can see here on the photometer it's reading 0, which means the filter isn't leaking. So what Curtis is doing, he's scanning each of the pleats and the perimeter of the filter, making sure that there's no leaks. Just to give you an idea what happens when there's a leak. You can see the needle goes to 100%. So that's basically what it's doing. So I guess that demonstrates the HEPA filter test. So when there's a leak, there'll be an alarm and we'll see the needle increase. Now we're going to